Hello? Hello?
Podcast Network Asia.
Hi, this is Alec Cuenca, and you're listening to Small Talk. Hey guys, welcome back to Small Talk, small conversations with huge impact. My name is Alec Cuenca, and I'm your host. And before anything else, I would like to greet each and every one of you. Welcome back to the show. If this is your first time, then I hope that you go check out the other episodes if you like. They have a lot of amazing insights as well. If this is your nth time listening to the podcast, then welcome back. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I hope that you learn a lot from this episode. And I can't wait to introduce our guest because today we have a very special guest. Our guest for today is an events host and TV host for Upfront at the UAAP on ABS-CBN Sports in Action and on ANC's Chinoy TV program. She is also a vlogger, an influencer, and an inspiration to many Filipinas here in the Philippines. She is also the host of the podcast under Chinoy TV Rise Up. Let's all welcome to the show, Janeena Chan. Welcome to the show, Janeena.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Alec. Excited to small talk with you.
Yeah, no, it's completely, it's all my pleasure. I love talking with people here on the podcast. This platform gives me a lot of opportunities to meet amazing people and inspiring people just like you. And I can't wait for our listeners to hear your story. So before we actually talk about your podcast and the things that you do, I want to know a little bit more about you. And so I just want to ask, how did you get started in the influencer slash content creator industry?
World, yeah. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
actually, it started with, well, first of all, I'm happy to equally meet people like you too. So thank you so much for the opportunity. You're an OG when it comes to this field. So honored learning from you too. So I think it all started when I was very young. I think with everyone, Aman, it always starts with your interests
Mhm.
and your talents too. So, oh my goodness, this could be a pretty long kind of like origin story, but I'm going to try my best to be concise about it. So I have always loved performing and singing. I mean, podcasting in a way is performing. I mean, like it just shifts, diba? Umiiba lang naman yan eh. But I think ever since I've always loved singing and performing, and I was always drawn to that, and I'm happy to have these opportunities. So it started with that, like singing competitions, as in since preschool pa lang, and then up until like I joined off-campus ones, and then you meet people from the industry, and then it kind of opened our world to more like modeling as a kid and then hosting as a kid. So my very first great opportunity was to host for kids TV. This was a kids show, and it's great that some of my followers like remember me from that time. So I was 11 when I first started officially like hosting like for TV talaga and media, and that kind of just kickstarted everything. That was on ABC 5. Oh my gosh, this like RPN 9 pa yun. And then after that, because it's called Kids TV, I couldn't be a kid forever, syempre, but still a kid at heart always. So now there came this opportunity to be a junior journalist naman for RPN 9's Newswatch
Mhm.
Junior Edition. So that was really fun for me. Also out of my comfort zone because of course this is like newsy, and we were like trained on that kind of orientation versus the more lifestyle. So it kind of expanded my knowledge um, in terms of this field. And then yeah, I was with them for 5 years, grabe,
Mhm.
since I was 14 up until 19 years old. And yeah, so that was like up until high school. And then parang simultaneous na rin with being a junior jock at Magic 89.9. So just, getting these opportunities, seeking them out, and at the same time, enjoying learning these new things. They weren't easy all the time, but I was just like, okay, why not try this and that? And also being into musicals still. So there's also an opportunity to be a part of High School Musical on stage when I was also in high school. So yeah, it's kind of like a mishmash of every opportunity that went by. And if I had the time for it, I will take it. And yeah, then the sports world kind of just kept coming back to me. Like, I had an opportunity to do courtside for Fox Sports naman for ABL. And then after college came up front. So technically, yeah, you could call me a courtside reporter, but I was actually not a courtside reporter during like when I was still in college. It
Mhm.
came right after, which was actually all the more better, I guess, because at least I could focus on, because I was still busy back in college. Tapos pag naging CSR pa ako, baka super na hectic. So upfront came right after. And then, yeah, started and kind of ended with everything. You know naman how everything's like with ABS, but so happy it happened. And yeah, that is a very long story of that. Chinoy TV on ANC came kind of simultaneous also after college. So yeah, it's just being open to opportunities, being open to learning. They weren't always again in my comfort zone, and I think that's a
Mhm.
huge part of my personal growth too. And yeah, the whole influencer life, you know how it is naman. I mean, it wasn't even there before, so happy that I jumped on the bandwagon
Yeah.
and kind of grew my platform na rin, especially on Instagram, which is my main platform for social media as a content creator. And I've been loving it too because it keeps me creative and it's different from hosting. Although, yeah, I think I love them. Do I love them equally? Now I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
Definitely a different world because there are other hosts na primarily hosting lang, and
Mhm.
then there are other content creators that are more focused on social media and creating content. So it's good to have like best of both worlds.
Yeah, but I gotta ask, with the it's really nice to hear that since you were very young, you already know what your interests are, and you just kind of went with the flow. But there
Mm-hmm.
are still a lot of
Kind of.
things that you weren't very familiar with, that you said you were stepping
Yeah.
out of your comfort zone. But I just wanted to ask, since nabanggit mo na rin kanina, I wanted to ask, what's like your favorite thing that you do right now? I know you're doing a lot of things, but what's like
Okay.
your favorite one?
Okay. Well, I think because recently I had an opportunity to go back to more of the flow of real actual hosting kasi iba
Mm-hmm.
pa rin yung normal
Yeah.
hosting, right? Like at home, it's just so different. It's different when you're engaging with people and kind of bantering with a co-host. It's different when you're doing it alone. So recently I had an opportunity to host for like a live stream show in an actual studio with a co-host again, and I kind of just miss that feeling. It made me realize how much I love hosting in a more real setup and like bantering, especially with a good co-host with good chemistry too, because I guess I'm mostly an extrovert, so that helps with my
Mm.
energy. And I think that just the whole pandemic is putting things to perspective and making you appreciate the things that you took for granted. Well, I think I didn't take them on any of it for granted, but it just makes you appreciate it all the more. And I think it reaffirms my love for actual hosting. So I think it would still be it. Makes sense that I'm madalda. And I always loved singing ever since, although I don't do it so much anymore. But hopefully, I mean, why not? It's an add-on. So let's
Maybe,
see.
hopefully soon, diba? But yeah,
Yeah.
I really love what you said about the whole pandemic thing. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
we took things for granted. It's just right now there's this like big equalizer that made us appreciate more the things that we actually have. And
Mm-hmm.
so now we all see your accomplishments online, your glam and all that stuff. But can I just ask, what's like the hardest thing about your lifestyle?
Okay. Wow. Gusto ko yeah, I know I do, especially on social media. I think everyone tends to do that, man, to post like their most glam pics, their most like, only their best angles. I guess it comes with a job, but at the same time, I'm doing my best to also show even the the ugly or even like the behind the scenes, which I have seen people have been appreciating more too. Like I remember, for example, when we were shooting for Rise Up with Janeena Chan, I took like a BTS photo of how our setup looks like, and kind of like I wrote bullet points of what people don't see. So that's like the coordination, the preparing, especially for us girls, we have to put makeup on, at least for me. I think others prefer not to. But yeah, it comes with like the styling, fixing your hair, setting up your laptop, diba? Thinking of like a topic, making an outline, making sure you make sense. And like it became a really long list, and then I posted it, and then people were like, wow, so many things pala now we don't really see. And then they appreciate the craft all the more. And yeah, I think that would be kind of like the discipline behind it. Because I think for other people, it may look glossy all the time, always, but it's definitely not. I have my days that I'm definitely like just tired and I don't want to move. And I just want to like cuddle with my pillows. And yeah, sometimes I feel like I'm not even an extrovert. There are days and I'm like, where is she? Because it does take a lot of energy from you. So I think that's it. Like it is definitely time consuming and it takes a lot of effort too. I think with every field naman, you really can't say how hard it is or how difficult it can be if you haven't experienced it. So, choose your hard, as they say. Wala namang madali, di ba? I mean, in this life, I mean, nothing worth it comes easy,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, there are no shortcuts. Maybe there are some, but definitely not always. So may pagod din siya. I think that's what people kind of tend to overlook and oversee. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. It's like the discipline behind creating the content. They see the final product, and I'm sorry if you can hear the dogs, but but
Yeah, like for example, like that. I earlier I kind of had to mute myself while you were talking because my neighbor's dogs were barking. So things like that, like but it's fine, I guess, unfiltered. At least they know they're
yeah.
dogs. Dogs are fun.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the discipline, and I think a lot of people. I saw the story as well when you were shooting your behind the scenes or this ring light in your background, and
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people can connect to that because besides the things that you post is the actual work that you put in, and they think. I mean, a lot of people don't actually recognize it, but there's a lot of work in what you do, and so
Mhm.
I think that's one thing that I too had a struggle with because I'm just starting with this whole content creation and being on an Instagram and posting things
Nakapagod,
that
no?
that that's for the people, and
It's
sometimes you
tiring
just
too, no?
wanna just take a picture na nakahiga ka lang na walang ginagawa
Yeah.
because like most of the times you feel like that, and there are some times that you feel like that and you want to share it but you can't because you have this like following and all that stuff. So I had to balance it all out, like being true to myself and still you know bringing value to the people who are following me online. So
Mhm.
yeah, guys, if you're watching, if you're listening to this one, I hope that you understand that the people that you admire have a lot of things. We are still human beings, and
Yeah.
we totally go through the things that you go through. And yeah,
Mhm.
so thank you so much for sharing that. Now, one thing that I really loved about your posts is that you're not just like the other influencers, where it's like completely for products or for endorsements and for advertising. You post a lot of self-help quotes, a lot of Bible verses, and that really
Mhm.
intrigues me because well, I just want to ask, you tell us the story. Have you always been interested in self-growth even before you started posting it, or you just learned it along the
Mhm.
way?
Well, I guess I think I was always interested with self growth. Even as a kid, I was really spiritual too. Like I'm very in tune with my feelings, and I loved expressing it, and I loved growing also through self discovery. So I would. It's a strong yes, and yeah, I guess I do know that especially on Instagram it can get pretty commercial, but I do, yes, I would love to balance it more with sharing my heart and sharing the things that make me grow and learn. Because especially on my stories, I just post my devos. That's when I realized that a lot of people are struggling and are seeking for more faith, for more foundation with their faith. And that just kind of motivated me too. Na para, oh, people like it din pala. Hindi lang puro kikay. Diba? It's not always all about what I'm wearing, the outfit I'm wearing, the makeup I'm wearing, but it's also what I'm reading and the things that fill my heart and my mind and my spiritual growth. So that kind of was my motivation too, because wow, I'm not just doing it for myself, I'm really doing it for the community as well. And I mean, what's your following or page or platform if you can't touch real lives, right? Not just sell stuff, not just make them wear what you're wearing. I mean, that comes with like the perks of it, and it's all fun. But I mean, true, that's true influence for me, and I do want to uphold more of that for my page too.
Yeah, I love that. There are, especially with how the word influencer gets thrown out lately. I mean,
Mhm.
I always tell this to my listeners that it doesn't matter if they're an influencer. They may be a bad influence or a good influence. You gotta decide, with which kind of influence you let into your heart. So
Yes.
that's why I am really happy that more and more people just try to reach people through a message that they
Yeah.
really believe in, and at the same time
Yeah.
they would know that it would help other people. So I really appreciate the things that
Yeah.
you do. Yeah. Just a quick
Thank you
plug.
so much. And I just actually want to add pala before we
Yeah.
continue. I just remembered now that like for example, like there was this DM. I mean, I don't check like all the other DMs all the time, like for the public ones, the unfiltered ones. But then there was one time I remember that someone was really struggling with mental health and she was really at the brink of like suicide. As in gano'n, nakakaloka, nagulat ako. And like pressure on me, like I had to stop, drop everything and send her a really long message. Hey, you're good, you're okay, things happen, like life happens, and your pain is temporary, you're okay, you'll be fine. And oh my goodness, talagang up until now, like we still like connect with each other. She still replies to my stories, and I'm just happy she's in a better place now mentally too. So things like that, like you actually have the power to give real good impact in someone's life, and that is a responsibility too. So that's why that's also why like we got to keep it real, we got to keep sharing the love, spreading the love and the good influence.
Yeah, I love that. We need to keep on sharing the love and the influence, because we will never know who's out there that might,
Yeah.
that who we might
Yeah.
save, who's in a dark time, and
Exactly.
our post will give them a brink of positivity that will save them from the night, from doing
Yeah.
anything, hurting
Mhm.
themselves. I could
Yeah, or it could
also,
be the opposite too, right? Like
yes.
just one post could trigger someone's
Yeah.
like fear or like anxiety, diba? Parang sometimes kasi we tend to post only our highlights and best moments and people tend to compare, but they don't know everyone's real story, right? They don't know what they're really going through. Maybe sobrang ano nga, ganda nga ng dinner or like ng pinupuntahang restaurant or something, but then yung pala nag-away sila, diba? Nung ka-date niya or something. I mean, right? You really don't know. Some people are just super, I don't want to say it naman, pero it's just too like, puro rose-colored lenses lang.
Mhm.
It's really not real anymore. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the podcasters who's especially podcasting. I think podcasting is a really very intimate platform, and it's very raw, it's very genuine. We can't, edit the ums, and we don't try to edit all the ugly parts. We just let the people sink into that conversation and feel like they're a part of it.
mhm,
And I just
mhm.
want to go back to that point. I really love that story of the one that messaged you. I actually got that was actually my pillar in creating more
Oh,
podcasts, because back
nice.
when I was just starting, I niched down into motivation, some very light motivation, and then there was this one person who said, a total stranger, and I had like 10 to 15 listeners at that time, and
Oh,
and then
gotta start
and,
somewhere,
yes, and
right?
and then he messaged me, and he said, "Hey, you don't know me, but you saved me tonight. Thank you." And I was like,
Wow.
"Okay, I'm
That
gonna
hit
keep,
you, no?
I'm gonna keep doing
Yeah.
this. I'm gonna keep doing this, even
Yeah.
though ayoko na, even though, di ba,
Yeah,
minsan it feels
sometimes the
like work."
numbers can dishearten you. Sometimes the pagod, yun na nga yung pagod, the hardships, the difficulties, setting up, kakatamad sometimes, right? You got to have a bigger why. That is so
Yeah.
true. Yeah. Good for
So,
you. Great job.
yeah, and I think for all the starting content creators out there as well, it doesn't, the numbers, they're just the pluses, the bonuses. But what matters, if
Yes,
you really impact just one person, you're good. Always remember that.
exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, okay, let's dive a little bit deeper. I have this very bad habit of asking people their biggest failures on the show, so I'm gonna do the same with you. I
Ooh.
just I just want to know, because we've seen how as you said, very rose colored your life is. But have you experienced something that you can say was your rock bottom? And what
Yeah.
lesson did you learn from it? And how did you get out of it?
Okay, well, definitely my rock bottom would have to be when I got really sick last 2016. I was actually diagnosed with Bell's palsy. That's when half of my face got paralyzed. But it's not only on a surface level, but actually, I also felt really weak. Like it really took out the jolly Janina in me and was a very challenging time in all levels, not only physically, but also emotionally, spiritually, mentally, lahat na talaga. And I think that was also a test of faith primarily for me. I was a relatively new super follower Christian at that time, and I think that was really God's message, and um, it was His story for me to tell. And yeah, basically, I thought it was just like an ear thing, like parang lumalabo lang yung pandinig ko, and then I was having vertigo like a few days back, so I thought of going to my ENT, like eyes, nose, throat doctor, but apparently he wasn't there. But a long story short, I had to quit. Like I found out I was on a way to hosting an event. I had to drop it. Within lang, my mom was with me. We went to the rehab doctor immediately, had it treated, and yeah, basically I had to stop work for a month, and my face was completely like half of it was kind of like a broken doll. Like even yung kilay ko ganun. Even like my lashes, my pagwink, my pag ganon, hindi pantay, my mouth. Can you imagine as a host, as like a content
Yeah.
creator? I mean, I use my face almost what 99% of the time. I had to stop everything, and ako pa naman, it was at the height of being very very busy,
Mhm.
and yeah, that was very difficult for me for sure, and I just had to go through it. My spiritual guidance that helps me through with that. And yeah, I mean, feeling ko talagang targeted to me yun. Bilang very, I mean, in this industry, alam mo naman, hikay, I always like take selfies, gano'ng katagal ba ako magsa-selfie before I take the perfect shot. So, things like that, it just makes it, like, all I wanted to do was have a full smile again. It was very painful. It was very challenging. All I wanted to do was say, peace be with you in church without being embarrassed because I couldn't peace be with you. Even sipping water from a straw was difficult. And you know what? Not everyone gets healed. Like there are other Bell's palsy patients that have to live with that. Like half of their face, bingi. As in ganun, distorted. And that was very scary for me too, because like I didn't know too. Would I have my full face back or not? So it's like, oh my goodness, this could be permanent. And hindi lang siya, again, it's not just like how I look, but it was also how I felt. It made me very weak. Standing up was a challenge. And yeah, oh my goodness. I was just happy that I had like a deadline to follow to be well, because it was to host for a pageant, a national pageant for Mr. Miss Chinatown. It was going to be aired on ABS-CBN, and then I had my gowns fixed na. Everything was all set. All I had to do was be well. So even if like I wasn't, maybe I was like 98%, no, maybe 90% well when I still pushed through with that. But like my face was a bit more bloated because I had like my medicine had steroids, and I was still a little bit tabingi. And I think other people noticed that because even yung kilay ko para akong worried all the time. Parang ganon. So, oh my goodness, super. And then, that whole, and then yeah, eventually, uh, I'm like 100% okay to now. Thank God. Diba? Hallelujah. But then, yeah, it just puts things into perspective. Like the little things, again, I could kind of relate it to the pandemic too. The not so little things, are big blessings. Don't ever take anything for granted, as small as like breathing well, 'di ba? I mean, just like with our masks on, 'di ba? Hassle, ang laking hassle going out.
Yeah.
Parang miss mo nang mag-hug ng tao, ng friends mo, miss mo na mag-smile. And like for me, just being able to do a full smile, being able to have a fully, I don't know, like pantay na face, 'di ba? Symmetric face, things like that. Just the little things are the big things. Yeah. So that's my rock bottom and how I kind of like just relate everything to it. Yeah. Anytime I feel like discouraged or like demotivated or like, na parang, right? So again, those like rock bottom moments in your life, they're not failure. They're just there to help you grow and help you learn a better lesson that will take you through your journey in life and make it more worthwhile and meaningful.
I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole story, it's something like you see on the movies. Like,
Yeah.
for a normal person, it's really scary. But I can imagine like you being, you showing your face or using your face 99% of the time, and you have that test or struggle or challenge that you had to overcome. I just can't imagine how scared you were, you know,
Yeah.
at that time. Can you just tell us a little bit more about the
About
mindset, about
yeah.
how what was going through your head?
I know. Okay. So speaking of scared, I think I kind of missed out on that part. I think I nakwento ko na this kwento like a lot of times, kind of, but in different ways. So let's go back to that point. I was kind of like first, siguro two times lang ako in my life that I felt a little claustro, na parang nagka-panic attack,
Mhm.
anxiety. Because like, ang treatment kasi for Bell's palsy is heat therapy. So first night pa lang, because if you don't treat it within 48 hours, it could be worse. It could get worse. So kaya like my doctor recommended to go immediately have it treated. And with that, like, I wasn't even briefed so well. Pero buti nga na naabutan pa namin. My doctor, no, the rehab doctor was still there, naabutan pa. So that's a big blessing. And I know also that God was there with me because my rehab doctor's name was Doctora Magpantay. Things like that. Like the little like, oh my gosh, God has humor talaga. And yung people, there was still some lightness to the heaviness of the situation. And I know that God is with me. And I just had to go through this challenge. So yeah, like things like that. And then when finally nakahiga na ako sa rehab na parang, ano ba yun, yung therapy area, I mean, it was like the end of the night. Like these PTs were, it's just another day. Hindi naman ako yung first Bell's palsy patient nila. They're like, pero syempre, first time ko yung naranasan. So that was very traumatic for me. Pero it's like another day for them. Hindi na nila ako exactly na brief ng maayos. Pero they just went with the treatment. And I was like overwhelmed because they were putting towels on my face,
Mhm.
covering half of my face only. And then like all I could see was this bright light in one side of my face, and it was hot. And can you imagine? It was like siguro mga third, fourth hour of knowing na may nangyari sa akin, and then I'm just like I just had to sit still and think of what's happening, and then I was just like, oh my gosh, in my head I'm like super nagpa-panic attack na ako, and then I'm just like super scared. But again, grateful for modern technology for both Eastern and Western medicine. I also had like my Chinese herbal doctor
Mhm.
that also cured me his herbal medicine. That's super bad, by the way. Super pangit talaga ng lasa. And up until now, I have to keep taking for maintenance and acupuncture therapy. So yeah, things like that. Like I had to be strong mentally. My mindset there was okay. There were moments na talagang I would really cry, like cry to God and really ask Him, and really like as in hagulgol, parang MMK level na
Mhm.
why me? Like I really felt like my essence of being me, Janina, was really taken away. Because if you ask even my closest friends, ano ba si Janina? Give me like top three characteristics. Ano, madaldal, energetic, masayahin. And then without that, my face, my expression, my energy, I couldn't be all that. So I really felt like I was not me. And it was really one of the weakest moments in my life. And there were days na talagang iiyak lang talaga ako, hagulgul na pangit kasi hindi pantay face ko. And then there were days na tawang-tawa ako kasi hindi pantay face ko. Like me and my sister would just be like in my room laughing like, oh my gosh, you look ridiculous like that. My goodness. So yeah, definitely family helped me through it. Um, again, prayers for sure. Even if when I was really tired and feeling unwell, I'm actually neighbors with my village church. So
Mhm.
in my head, I was like, I have no excuse not to go to church, and that's what I know. That's what God wants from me too. Is
Mhm.
my faith, my 101 or 1,000% faith, especially in this trying time, because there is a bigger picture to everything. And I was reading this book too, Purpose Driven Life by Rick Warren, helped me a lot too. and puts things in perspective. It says there na parang when God gives you pain, it's kind of like him using a megaphone, shouting at you, like wanting you to come back to him or wanting you to have a more intimate relationship with him. So that kind of that stood out for me. And also the term that what God gives to you, he wants to give through you. So that's not only the highs, but also the lows. So yeah, that's kind of like my story to tell. And I know that it will be my story to tell up until I grow old when I'm a lola na. And I think it would still be relevant whatever the times are because we all have a face, we all have our energies. Sometimes we take things for granted, and that I'm proud to share that story. And I'm happy that God's strength is perfected through our weaknesses. Yeah.
That was really beautiful, Janina. I mean, I was really touched. I was getting kind of emotional then because I think a lot of us don't see when we're in that position that it's
Yeah.
actually something that God wanted us to go through because it's so
Hmm.
painful. It's so
Yes.
nakakatakot talaga, and you know, you think about the future. You want to
Yeah.
control the future and get more anxious about it. But essentially, our tests in life becomes our testimonies. And just as you said,
Exactly.
dadali mo yan hanggang pagtanda mo, and that's gonna be your story to tell. And I think that's what makes you really you and
Hmm.
makes you a really beautiful you. So thank you so much for
Yeah.
for
Thank
sharing
you
that.
so much. At least may hugot na ako in life. Kala nila
Diba?
wala akong
Boring din
hugot.
naman kung wala kang hugot, diba? So,
Oo, 'di ba? Para maka-relate tayo sa isa't isa. Walang perfect, I'm telling you, wala talaga. And I think that's also like the thing with me, like Medj type A, gano'n. Like I've always been super organized. I'm always like the go-getter, like achiever. Gusto ko kung may honor board, gusto ko lagi ako nandiyan. Kung may activity, laging andyan ako. And then sometimes you kind of like get caught up with perfecting things that you forget na you should just enjoy the process, enjoy the imperfections, because that's what makes it more dynamic and more real and also more fun. Diba? Perfect is boring. And up until now, I think I'm still struggling ish. You know, struggling. I mean, it's an internal, battle
yeah,
with us. Especially, I think I wouldn't know. I would attribute that to my horoscopes. I don't know.
yeah.
Like I like the aesthetics, but I guess it's always putting a balance to everything. You can appreciate the aesthetics, appreciate like art, appreciate beauty, but make sure you also appreciate authenticity. And that's like one thing we keep, diba? Laging binabato yung word na yan, authenticity, paano ba yan, diba? But I guess it's just being real, being true, being genuine.
Yeah. I mean, like the real you has a lot of struggles, and
Yeah. Hmm.
that's, you need to be real with that part as well. So, yeah,
Hmm.
I totally agree with everything that you said.
Yeah.
Now, let's, lighten up the conversation a little bit. I want to
Yeah.
talk about your podcast. You
Hmm.
recently joined, and I'm really happy. First and foremost, congratulations! I
Oh.
saw the the charts. You're getting up there soon. You'll be up with us, Joy Spring, and you and me.
Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
but
Bonus na lang yung charts
yes,
again.
yes, no, no. I'm really happy because there are very few self improvement podcasts here in the Philippines, which is why when I saw your podcast, and I also saw Janina Velas, a Globe, something like that, and I said, now,
Hmm.
oh, people are getting more into podcasting, and podcasting it's still in a very young age, but I was really happy to see, you know, a huge content creator on Instagram start their own podcast means more people will listen to podcasting. And I want to know how or what made you start your own podcast.
Okay, well, actually, recently recently, major recent, but I think 2020 doesn't feel so long ago. Like during the whole
Yeah.
pandemic, the lockdown, we kind of have been about finding ways to not just let time pass, but
Mhm.
let it pass meaningfully. So I think that was the start of me starting to listen to more podcasts too. And I was like, wow, this is really nice. Like, why haven't I gotten into this earlier? So things like that. And also knowing na madaldal na ako, and I'm like, dami ko ring thoughts. I'm like, why not also, diba? Parang nagkaroon ng want in my heart. And like, just the interest. Like, yeah, that would be nice. As in ganun lang. And then, with Chinoy TV, with like pivoting to, since we want to expand our platform also, not just TV. They were like, yeah, why not make a podcast na rin? So, grabe, ang bait talaga ni God. I always tell this, like, even when I was talking to my co-producer, Mish, she also has a podcast. I believe you guessed it there, right?
Yes.
Shout out, Mish. So, I was telling her, grabe ang bet talaga ni God. Because, like, I was just thinking about it literally before the launch, like, 2 weeks before the launch. 2 weeks before the launch, hindi ko pa alam paano mangyayari to. Then after, I don't, they just gave me a mic. I mean, bet talaga ni God. I'm not the most techie person in the world. So I'm like, thank you for giving me the mic I need. I mean, I already have some lights here. All I needed was, I guess, to not be scared. I was also scared. I mean, I'm a host, yes, but I'm not a podcast host yet, but I guess I am now. Baby steps. You got to start somewhere. So that was kind of like a little scary for me. And I was like, oh my gosh. At one point, I was really overthinking things. Am I too formal? Am I too, ganito, ganyan? But I guess, you just got to be real. And yeah, nga, 2 weeks after thinking about what if, then, okay, biglang may logo na, biglang may art na. I mean, I know other podcasters are like, they do it all by themselves, like, grabe, guys, saludo. I mean, with other content creators too. Like, for me, I actually don't have a team always. So, yeah, teamwork makes the dream work, and it makes things happen, like, more effectively, I guess. And I think I wouldn't have done it without our team, definitely. And without God's permission. I feel like, sometimes kasi pag para sa'yo, madali talaga darating. Pag hindi para sa'yo, parang magtataka ka na lang. Ano na nangyayari? Maybe you should reconsider, no? Sometimes, yun talaga eh. I'm the type to go with the flow, and I'm happy that God has blessed me with another platform to share my talents, God-given talents, with, and share these stories, these rise up stories. All the more when we were thinking about a title, what could it be? For Chinoy TV kasi and for Mr. Miss Chinatown last year, because it's like one whole like platform. It's like it's the same team. Their theme was Rise Up, and they kind of just absorbed it. They were like, yeah, why not make it our theme na rin for the podcast? Considering all things, especially like with the new normal, the pandemic situation, I think that's something everyone could relate to and would last the test of time, I believe. Diba? There will always be not just the highs, but the lows in life, and you got to keep rising up to the occasion, no matter how difficult things can get. So I was like, wow, I love it. And then bonus na lang yung with Janeena Chan. Rise up with Janeena. And I love like everything about it, the logo, the colors, the look, the vibe. Still trying our best to make it be excellent tech-wise, learning from pros like you. But yeah, learning curve, diba? Happy to be here. And thank you so much also for the opportunity to plug.
No, I mean, the people that I invite also have a podcast. First and foremost, talaga gusto ko unahin muna yung mga podcasters natin because
Thank
I mean,
you. It's a community, no?
There are a lot of podcast listeners, but they don't know these types of podcasts exist. So I'm using my platform as well to share inspirational podcasts and very very helpful and valuable podcasts out there. So if you are listening to this podcast, and if you even like any of the things that I post, I'm sure that you will like Janeena Chan's podcast. So make sure that you check that out. Na medyo napaaga yung plug namin. Pero, pero yun. Okay. Well, you kind of answered all of my questions about podcasting. But one thing that I really loved was the artwork, the color. It's very you. It's very Janeena Chan.
Yeah. I guess they just picked up a vibe. Gulat na lang ako, promise. Now, wow, nice logo, nice art. Yeah.
Yeah, but I really love the title because it's Rise Up. It's not just, being up there. It's literally it's rising up. It's the process. Mm-hmm. So can I just ask, what's the main goal of your podcast?
I guess it's really to make people feel like they're not alone too, right? Sometimes when we're, as you mentioned, like when we're at rock bottom, when we're feeling down, when we're not feeling like our best selves, we tend to just kind of second guess ourselves and everything in life and like our purpose and everything. So I think this the mission vision Rise Up with Janeena Chan is to be a friend, really, to be that voice that tells you that you can do it, tells you that you got this, that your pain is temporary, there is a process to things. Um, Everyone has had their bad days. I think with our guests, one thing we always ask them is, what is your rise up story? Or what's something that people don't usually see? Like as you like you asked me, like my failures and stuff, like the challenging things. That's what people don't usually hear or see, especially on social media. So if there's a platform wherein we can balance that out, then I guess this would be it. No one has got it perfect day one, and perfect doesn't even exist. So all we can do is, like, I kind of coined this myself ish, like to be our best betters, right? The best version of you, but that will always be a better lang, and that's there's no shame at that, because if you're already the best perfect person, then you're probably an angel already. You're probably dead, right? So yeah, I personally have learned a lot from listening to inspiring people, and if there's it's a privilege to be that channel for other people. So I hope they learn a lot. Every time we make our episodes, I make sure that there is value in them. Kung medyo kulang, I tell my producers, parang wag na lang. Alam mo yun? Sometimes, like, I'd rather not post anything that will not give value or add value. Baka waste of time lang, di ba? I mean, I value people's time. And yeah, we've had like different topics, like from as specific as tidying your home and the benefits of it for your life, to like specific topics like goal setting and following through. So things like that. And I hope that more people can relate to the topics we'll be producing.
Yeah, I'm definitely sure 100% that you're gonna be one of the top podcasters very soon. If you just keep going, if just creating, if just
I hope
create.
I hope may ka. May ESP. But some people are like, wag ganon, like when they say something nangyayari siya. So sana Alec.
Yes, hindi, sa
Thank you
totoo
for
lang. I mean,
blessing.
your energy, your vibe. I mean, it's just really contagious. And
Oo.
I mean, even just listening to the podcast, I listen to your episodes as well. It's like when you're speaking, even though I'm not, no offense to the guests that you have, like when they're like very low energy and they're just very chill. When you
Yeah.
speak, you're very energetic and you bring the whole,
Oh,
positive
thank you
vibe
so
into it.
much.
So I'm pretty sure that a
Thank
lot
you.
more people will appreciate your podcast if they, just learn about your podcast. So
Mm-hmm.
again, let's try to wrap this episode up.
Mm-hmm.
um if there is one thing that you wish you knew when you were starting, or when you were starting in this influencer content creation industry, what would you do differently?
What would I do differently? kind of kind of like the ultimate question. What would I do differently? I've always been close to my mom. I've always been a mama's girl. I guess it would be spending more time with my dad, because now he passed away na kasi, like last and about when I was still in college, and we weren't like super close. But actually, he was the one who I told you diba before na yung about my Newswatch Junior Edition days.
Mhm.
Siya yung nag-refer noon. Actually, siya nag-recommend noon na parang, mag-try out ka. Yes, and napanood niya sa commercial. He's like, naghanap sila ng teen reporters, junior journalists, sumali ka. So things like that. Like, I really, without him, I wouldn't be here. Oh my gosh, baka maiyak ako. Grabe. Wait lang, hindi ko in-expect. Pero kasi, like, I think that's the only thing na I kind of regret. Hindi man, because that's not up to me. It's God's will for my life. Ayan, kaya may video, para magawa mong plug to. But yeah, like for my creation world, I'm just so happy that, it's really such a blessing to have what I have. But I think hindi na niya naabutan yung naabutan naman niya, pero hindi na yung as, as abundant as this, I believe. Like, every day I get sent like a nice package. Every day I get sent a cake or like food, like a whole roast duck. I would have loved to share all those. So I think my only, hindi naman regret, but I wish I could have spent more time with him, and I wish we could have bonded more, and I wish I could have shared my blessings more lang. But I did naman. I mean, hindi naman sa hindi, pero yun lang. I wish
Yeah.
there was more time. So if there's something I wanna leave na valuable is to really spend time with your family, with your loved ones. Um, really nurture the relationships that matter. Yun. And yun, you really don't know kailan ka mamamatay. Totoo lang. Grabe, ginawa kong light yun, no? Pero totoo, you never know when you're
Ah,
up. You know what? The night my dad passed away, we were set to watch a movie. It took us by surprise talaga. So, yeah, guys, you never know talaga. So, kung kung may mga unhealthy relationships or like siguro like the relationships that matter that are not at its best, take this time, this extra time to nurture them and to rebuild these relationships. I have a good relationship with my dad naman, but I know others have it worse, diba? Yung mga di na nag-uusap, nag-away, diba? Stuff like that. Guys, wag nyo nang patagalin yan. So yeah, that's
yeah.
like my only, especially grabe, share ko lang, pag Father's Day na, mag-message sa mga brands, oh, we want to treat you and your dad. Oh my gosh, I'm like, oh, don't make me cry again. So like, ang ginagawa ko is, I would invite my closest uncle and I would
Mhm.
share the perk to him. Ganun na lang. Like free shirt, mga ganun, free shoes, stuff like that. Or like if there's a campaign, di ba? Sila yung naaambunan yung relatives ko. So yun.
Yeah, I'm really sorry na napaiyak kita pero don't worry,
Hindi ko rin na-expect yun.
I won't post anything.
Kasi,
Hindi, pero Janine, I just want
yeah.
to say na
Yeah.
I'm really sure that your father is really proud of you. I mean, he was really proud of you before, but I guess just to reiterate your point, that's just how life is. No matter how much we 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 try to perfect things, na it would be really perfect. Sometimes hindi
Yeah.
talaga tayo pinapayagan ni Lord na ganun yung mangyari. And yeah, but it's kind of like a subtle reminder na rin na no matter how low you get or no matter how high you get, you only
Yeah.
get one life. Like this is the
Mm-hmm.
only one. Kahit anong argue
Mm-hmm.
mo, kahit anong pilit mo, this is the only one. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, Janina, for sharing that.
Thank you so much. Hindi ko talaga in-expect. Hindi ko prepared na.
Okay.
But yeah, that's like my only like sad. Like, ay ako pa naman, I always look for the silver lining of things, always
Mm-hmm.
justifying every bad situation. But justifying every bad scenario na, you learned something at least. So yun lang yung
Yeah.
talagang sad part. No, sayang. I wish dad could have been here. Yun.
Yeah. Okay.
Yun.
Okay, before I actually let you go, I have a small segment here on Small Talk where I ask.
Mhm.
It's kind of I call this segment Real Talk.
Mhm.
It's like fast talk, but it's very wholesome, naman. Don't worry. But yeah, I'm gonna
Okay,
ask you a
thank you naman.
question, and you're gonna
So,
answer with
fast talk.
either a word, a phrase, or just one sentence. And let's try our best to not explain. Well, I break
Okay, okay.
my own rules sometime, but
Okay. So it's not like a yes, no, maybe thing? You
yeah,
like that?
it's not. It's a
Okay, okay.
phrase, a sentence, or a word. Okay. My first
Okay, okay.
question is, well, you kind of answered it earlier, but again, I'm going to ask you, if you could talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you say to her?
Mm, I would say to her, malapit na yung debut mo. So, hinay-hinay lang sa kain. I mean, kanya-kanyang I mean, I love all body shapes, pero ako lang personally, I would have liked to be fitter during my debut. Yun lang.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a very unique answer. Thank you for that. Okay, next
Yeah.
is
Very.
name, well, again, you answered this, but name a person who you would want to talk to, dead or alive.
Oh, yeah. My dad.
Okay. Okay, next is, if you were an animal, what would you be?
I would probably be either a cat or a dolphin.
Why? Why
Yeah.
dolphin? Okay, why dolphin?
I guess like I've read before, it's my spirit animal daw.
Oh.
Ganun. And also because they're so cute and friendly and like they're just, free flowing, swimming in the ocean. And they're so cute. And I guess I'm cute. Love yourself. Pag pusa naman, pag cat. And I think they're more free than cats. Pag cats kasi parang, they're just like such divas. And they sleep the whole day. And their main purpose in life is to be cute.
Yeah. So I guess
Naman po.
you're half dolphin and a half cat
Yeah,
sometimes.
may cat fin. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, next question. If you could change one thing in this world, what would it be?
Mm, I would maybe yan ka na naman. Ang hirap na naman nito. I guess it would be to have a better, what do you call this? Like a more balanced perspective or more balanced view of success. Cause diba, people like always think success is like, when you have like, for example, pag school lang, pag top honors ka, pero may natutunan ka ba talaga? May friends ka ba? Diba? So like a more balanced POV of success. Cause like I think the pandemic also put things into perspective that wow, nature is diba? Nature is success, family life is success, and
Mhm.
health is success. So like things like that. Honestly, inisip ko nga, kung kung easy way out lang, I could like go off the grid
Yeah.
and be happy like in a cabin with like my coffee and tea and like
Mhm.
music. The simple life, I'd be happy. But I think, we all that would be the easy way out. But you still gotta fulfill your purpose in life. So yeah.
Okay. Yes. Thank you for that. Okay, my last question would be, what do you want your legacy to be known for?
Oh, legacy. I guess. Mm, kindness and positivity. That would be the legacy I want to put out there. And genuine kindness at that. And humility also. That's actually my pet peeve. Arrogant people. But then at the same time, I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. Sometimes our ego gets to the best of us and just, diba? um, if if that could be my legacy, I'd be happy. Just to always advocate for kindness and goodness, and just be content and fulfilled with the little things. Again, the not so little things of life, and enjoy the process always.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you so much. You have been such. I really enjoyed this podcast episode. I mean, I had a lot of guests before, but before they were like very serious at times. But you were just so
Ah,
easy to
okay.
talk to, and I feel like
Talaga,
I could talk to you
okay.
for another hour. But
Oh, thank you.
but yeah, I
Maybe
guess we
kasi
gotta.
that's their branding. Well, actually, recently nga with my podcast, I haven't been like laughing out loud too much. But maybe I should. No? I
Yeah,
think maybe I should. Yeah.
yeah.
May iba
Okay.
lang.
Okay. So
Yeah. Thank you so much, Alex.
yeah. I mean, before we go, please, where if they want to learn more about the things that you do, where can they find you online?
Okay, well, it's basically just at Janina Chan. My Janina is spelled with two E's. So that's JANEENACHAN. And yeah, you can find me almost everywhere, I guess, but I'm mostly active on Instagram. Of course, don't forget to follow and listen to our podcast. It's Rise Up with Janina Chan. And yeah, I hope to see you when I see you. To all the listeners of Small Talk, keep on supporting Alec. He's amazing. Thank you so much for having me. Definitely a genuine soul too. And yeah, if to anyone listening who just who are feeling like they're in a rut or when if they're feeling lonely, I hope we made you feel less lonely,
Yes.
and I hope we made your day too. So
Yeah.
thank
I'm
you.
pretty sure that we did. If you guys like this podcast episode, please share it on Instagram. Tag me and Janina. And again, if you like any of my episodes, I'm sure that you will like all of her episodes as well. Go check her out. It's Rise Up with Janina Chan. It's the very cute artwork. You can easily find it.
Aw.
And yes, again, I hope that you learned something from this episode.
Mhm.
And yeah, thank you so much for listening. My name is Alec Cuenca. This is Small Talk, Small Conversations with huge impact. And I will see you guys next episode. Bye bye. Thank you for listening to Small Talk. For more updates, you can follow me at Small Talk Podcast on Instagram and on TikTok. That's at Small Talk Podcast on Instagram and on TikTok.
The views and opinions expressed by the podcast creators, hosts, and guests do not necessarily reflect the official policy and position of Podcast Network Asia. Any content provided by the people on the podcast are of their own opinion and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything.